lying on his bed, nearing death. No. In addition to this awesome burden, the Jews of the great Jewish community of Krakow were forced to wait. And wait anxiously they did, for word from the Rav himself, just who would be named as his humble successor. Oh, they waited. For days they came and prayed, and stood waiting for word of a miraculous recovery that never came. Till one long and dark day, when suddenly the Rav called for the heads of the congregation and told them just whom to appoint as their new Rav.
Jews, our Rav has spoken. He has made his will known who is to be his humble successor.
Yes, the Rav of Krakow did indeed choose the man who would lead his flock anew. And just who would this be?
The new Rav of Krakow.
Reb Pinchas the scholar, whose breath of learning was legendary far and wide. Reb David the generous, whose great fortune was always made ready to help those in need. Or perhaps Reb Yitzchok the pious, whose godly ways inspired each and every man, woman, and child who saw him. Maybe it would be one of the Rav's righteous sons. No, it was none of these men, but
Moshe the Wasserschlepper.
Reb Moshe the water carrier. The Jews of Krakow were dumbstruck. There must have been a mistake. Why, it's a joke, an outrage. A mere toiler, a common man, appointed Rav of the great community of Polish Jewry. No, it was not a joke. And when the holy Rav of Krakow had passed on, the trusted leaders of the community did all they could to fulfill his last request. So they searched all around town for the humble Reb Moshe, until they found him behind the shul, under his cart, the better half into his midday snooze. He had been schlepping water since finishing his prayers early that morning, and now had found the time to catch a good sleep. Well, you can imagine Reb Moshe's face when the elders crawled down on their hands and knees to tell this simple yid that he was the community's new Rav. Of course, Reb Moshe protested in the most uncertain of terms. I'm not a Rav, he said, or a scholar. I wouldn't know a thing about making a legal decision. But it was no use. The congregation elders wouldn't hear of it. They assured Reb Moshe it would be all right. Just be our Rav, they told him. We'll pay you well. Your water-carrying days are over. So, that was it. Reb Moshe the water carrier became the new Rav of the honored community of Krakow. And, as promised, he didn't do a thing. He didn't answer questions, didn't teach, didn't discuss complicated legal matters, didn't marry new couples, didn't write divorces, didn't counsel the community elders. Whatever it is that a Rav is supposed to do, he didn't. Well, this went on for weeks, until one day the government announced a new decree. The Jews were from that day to hand over every copy of the Talmud to be burned as a public. The community elders met urgently with Reb Moshe for his advice on what to do. I have no idea now, the Rav told them. But after the Holy Sabbath, you'll have your answer. So they left. But when they returned after a few days, the Rav was not to be found. After searching the surrounding villages and towns, they came to an innkeeper who told them,
Why, yes. A few days ago, a simple Jew came in here and asked to rent a room. He's been in it ever since and never left. Didn't take anything to eat and nothing to drink. I have no idea what's going on in there.
So the elders looked at each other and went off to see this stranger in his room. When they opened the door, who do you think they found?
Mazel Tov. You came at the right time. Thanks God that evil decree is no more.
There sat Reb Moshe with a wide smile on his face. He said that he had to leave. The noise of Krakow was just too much. So he had to leave to the quiet of that little room. For the last 3 days, he explained, he had been reviewing each and every word of each and every tractate of Talmud, with the commentary of Rashi, reciting them by heart, without missing one.
Thanks God. If I didn't review the entire Talmud, the evil one would have won. The government would have had its way, and our precious books would have gone up in flames.